Suspects hopping on in there real quick today. Appreciate you. So this entire track is the Enzo X. The horn part as well. The strings, the EP part. All of that has been created using the Enzo X. that like button while you hanging out with the reactions. I appreciate it all. Definitely helps me out a lot. Make sure you get in. And again, all this is created with just the Enzo X. And I use the Mercury X, of course, to add reverb and things like that. But all these synth sounds, EP, all that stuff is Enzo X. that's the crazy part. If you don't, once you learn how to use it, it's insane. So I started with this track. Appreciated best noodles. The best noodles. I appreciate you. Appreciate the sub. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do that. So let's go ahead and start breaking down these sounds, right? And again, all this is going to be, well, not again. First off, let's start here. How y'all doing today? Appreciate all y'all chiming in, hanging out with me. Welcome to All Bass Creations, Effects, Tutorials, Demos, and Review. So, you know, we getting into it as usual around here. We have the Enzo X. Let me switch to Pedalboard view for those of you on the, if you are on the portrait, I guess the live feed, the vertical feed, there's a horizontal feed as well on YouTube that allow you to see a little bit more, especially with the pedalboard and things like that. So make sure you check that out as well. I always do vertical and horizontal live streams, in case you didn't know. All right, so let me make sure I'm good here. I don't feel like yelling. So first up, we got this EP sound I created. And this is the Enzo X. It took a long time to get this sound nailed down, but I did finally get it actually nailed down. So I actually have it so I can sustain and I can play. I think this was one of the things that took the longest, was getting it to be set up like this. Let me move this over. It's getting on my nerves. All right. So yeah, so it's definitely this unit, the more I use it, the more I find different sounds, or pretty much the more I learn how to use an actual synth. Let me move this over. The better it becomes using the Enzo X, or the more I realize how amazing it is to have such a powerful synth unit in a pedal. And this, in case you didn't know, it's this gold pedal here in the middle. And all these sounds will be available in the update of the Enzo X pack. So if you already have it, make sure you hit me up on Patreon and I'll send you over the newer updated pack. But this is going to include things like these EP sounds. So, you know, first off, the fact that I can even get close to that with a unit like this, and it's polyphonic, I can play that sound with my MIDI controller or my actual bass. Now, I will disclaimer with these more piano type sounds, I can't necessarily get it to track the way I want it to. But some reason, these particular sounds, it doesn't like to track very well. But using a MIDI controller with it, just fine. Now, typically, you know, things like the strings, not the same problem. Oh yeah, the Zoom MS60B Plus definitely is a great unit. So, all right, so there's the string sound, right? And I have that set up for the whole modifier here to do pitch bends for me. Set up for these longer fade-in ones, as well as if I hit the expression pedal, now I can get shorter releases. If I want, I also have the Mercury X set up, so it's doing those octaves. Here's the Enzo X by itself. Now, I can go on here and add some reverb if I would like to. Well, I don't prefer either one over the other. They both have like completely different purposes. The Mercury X is a reverb unit. Has some of the best, it's the most modular reverb you can have. Like you can make pretty much any reverb you can think of, you can pretty much make in there. While the Enzo X primarily is a synth pedal, but does have, and they have different effects in them. So they have different modulation sections. They also, the filters are the same. Two of the filters are the same, but the third one in each one is different. Like this one has a twin filter, this one has a parametric filter, but they both have a negative 24 dB filter, more the Moog type filter, and a negative 12 dB filter, which is like a less intense version. Then, you know, so that would be the main differences between them, as well as like they have the preamp section and the drive section in here are the same, with the exception you get a bit crusher in here, and you get something else in here. I can't remember off the top of my head, but you get yeah, but the modulation sections are different. Modifiers are all the same, as well as expression pedal. So you get 6 modifiers. The reason why I can do all of this with the press of one foot switch is because the Enzo X and, you know, the Enzo X in this case, I have things assigned to the hold modifier button here. And so I can have, you know, 7 things attached to this if I wanted to, or like 6 things attached to the expression pedal. So the expression pedal is doing this part, controlling the envelope. As well as if I want fast, I just don't press it at all. Then the Enzo X is amazing, because then that has additional pitch shifting and things I can do as well as this has pitch shifting, polyphonic and mono pitch shifting, and an arpeggiator in here. So, you know, these are different. This has some of the, I mean, in my opinion, the best reverbs I've ever heard in my life. They just sound amazing. But you get one of those, my favorite algorithm, in the Enzo X as well. So You know, I started with an Enzo X and then I got a Mercury X, so I hope that may clear it up for you. And I would say get you, if you get an Enzo X, you'll want that Mercury X too. But I can come in here and we're gonna do some reverb in the Enzo X because it has the prism algorithm, which is my favorite reverb. And that is available on the Mercury X, but more extensively, you know, you can control everything here. Here you have you got 3 versions of it, but they're limited. So course, but when you add the pitch shift into that, along with the delay, because it also does delay as well, and you can also create some of the most extensive delays in there. You can create some really creative delays, reverbs, and you can use all the effects individually. So if you want to use the filters and modulation section just on your dry bass, that's also options as well. But when you add all this together, the pitch shifting, get a nice string section. So we got a nice brass section here that was going as well. So we did some of that head. It's just how I have things set up right now. I don't have it optimized for bass tracking at the moment. But, you know, even got clavy type sound, you know. Pads. Of course, you know, these are more of the type of sounds that people already know that the Enzo X can do. You know, everybody kind of already know that you can. And that's with my bass. And I can immediately start playing that sound with the MIDI controller as well. Same exact sound. And so I got several ways I can sustain that or manipulate that. I can freeze it with the Mercury X. Let's see if we get a little more volume here. now we got the Mercury X going crazy over there. And that's the Enzo X is not a gimmicky thing here. Like that, it's a real synth. Like, and it definitely can be taken serious as a real synth, even as a bass synth. You know, we'll go to some of those sounds as well. But I wanted to cover, you know, I've covered some bass synths before, but I wanted to cover, make sure you guys got a chance to really understand what the unit can do. This is trumpet sound I made. And I can also, because the Enzo X is polyphonic, I can easily turn that sound from the mono to polyphonic synth. And I don't have to change anything but the mode. Got the modulation on the whole modifier there. So without, with it. And when I want to get more synthy brass, if I'm trying to get a, you know, little cleaner of a brass sound. You know, luckily I spent years in marching band, so I know exactly how horns sound when they're together. So yes, that's crazy. You see, even the bass. So, you know, just immediately flute sounds. Of course, immediately available to play there. And again, if I want the flute section, I can just go from mono to poly. No problem at all. Then you also got the sax section. Make sure you hit that like button. I appreciate all y'all that already did. Hit that hype button, you know, them reactions. Appreciate you, Keith, for subbing. See, don't forget to subscribe as well. I also made a saxophone sound. And mind you, don't get me wrong. I don't think these are exact trumpet flute and saxophone or EP sound, road sounds. You know, these are just to get me. I actually don't want, you know, when I want that, I have that already. What I'm trying to get to is a whole different set of sounds that allow me to just create things that, quite frankly, you know, don't just sound like another record. You know, me using that EP or this sax, when you use these horn parts in combination, they definitely, let me see, where is it? I gotta remember where I put it. On here somewhere. Let's see. That's not it. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff on the looper. That's not it. So that's them. That's the sounds together. So when you put those sounds together, they sound like a section. So, you know, it's little stuff like that. Let me see. What else you got here? Even the drums, the drum part came from, that we was listening to earlier, also came from the Enzo X. So, like, that entire thing literally is the Enzo X, which is, I can't really, you know, yes, the Future Impact, if the Future Impact was polyphonic, then yeah, it could keep up and to do things like that. But because it's monophonic, you know, it kind of limits it. But what it is limited to is amazing. And they just did an update. So now we have the FM sounds from the DX7 on here. So that's awesome. I haven't even had a chance to really play around with them yet. That's why I'm not doing a video about it today. Of course, y'all know I don't like to just throw stuff out there, give y'all any old thing. I want to actually know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so you add all those parts together along with like the brass section up here. And the strings. And you got your EP sound. And, you know, of course, I love this. Also made this keyboard sound with the Enzo X. That's also part of the track. So. This is actually one of my favorite. Because you can just, this is one of those sounds you really kind of want to play. See what's going on with the volume here. Where's all my volume? Might need to bring it up here. That didn't help. There we go. Especially you drop it down an octave, it literally can be a synth bass. That sound juicy. That's a juicy sound right there. So and if I don't want so much modulation in the pitch like that, just take it out. That joint's so warm. While still being juicy, you know. And you still can if I hold down the expression pedal, and right now I have the expression pedal tied to, I have on the floor that you can't see, well, what you can't see is I have the 10-foot switch for the Graviton N1 here. This is a MIDI controller, and I have the MIDI captain down here on the floor, so a total of 20-foot switches on the floor. I really don't have to do the touch screen, you know, it's convenient. And you know, of course, to do the foot thing, you got to be in position anyway, but that's the other thing I love. I got two types of sustain with it. So I can do stuff like that. That's the the Mercury X freeze. Change octaves on you. Mercury X is a different thing now. And you can even make it glitch. Make it do stupid stuff like that. Just a normal. See, this is the Enzo X, me doing the sustain with the Enzo X, which is a different. So there, if I hold the foot switch, I get a fade in and the release there, right? Then I have it set up to where I can use it more like a sustain pedal, where I play the attack and then press the button and it'll sustain. And it'll just sustain that. I can add in the Mercury X and all that's with 1 foot. I can let the, you know, just stupid stuff. MIDI really just takes your rig to another level and allows you to really get around without working so hard to do it. Like, none of that was difficult for me to do. So let's see, we had the hi-hat sound. And the way I usually time it with the looper here, because that's not on MIDI, is I usually tap it with it. And I'll just do this to record it, just because it always keeps it locked, you know. Easy way to keep it locked, even though it'll stay at that tempo, because they're not locked, you know, together, synced together rather. What's going on, folks? Yeah, this is really, it is useful on gigs. I use it for my entire gigs, you know what I'm saying? Not even just for these sounds. Like, I already have shown you guys how to use the Enzo X as a bass multi-effects pedal as well. So, you know, I look at it as, it's not just a synth pedal. Even when you take away the synth mode and you just use the individual effects, you still got drive, filters, like, and I mean some of the best, not just no garbage, you know, all of them sound good. All of the effects in there sound great. I mean, all of them. And that is very rare from any unit I've ever used, where every single effect in there is really good. So from the modulations to the reverbs, the delay that's in there, it's got a full stereo echo in there, where you can have 2 different times with the left and right. And you also have, excuse me, those modifiers allow you to create any type of filter or modulation type of thing that you would want. So if you wanted to, give me one second, let me see, set this up here. So if you wanted to, you can have a LFO filter. You can have a envelope filter. You can have a random filter with the S and H, you know, to give you randomly generate numbers pretty much. And then you got a full 16-step sequencer. You got an arpeggiator in there as well, 3-octave arpeggiator that you can choose the amount of steps, you know, of things. This is the looper I use. I use the Jamman Solo HD. And what's going on? So this, you know, this is the looper right here, Jamman Solo HD. And no, I haven't tried that one. But I am looking at another looper that just came out by, I believe it's Nux, Nux or Nux, one of those. I'm looking at that, you know, that's got it's a dual looper, full MIDI, you know, it's got a lot of features, but, you know, everything got a lot of features, but does it work right? Does it work with my workflow? And the Jamman Solo HD does not have MIDI, and that does bother me, because I wish it does, but the clarity of the unit is amazing. Like, I mean, I can take these same files, throw them in my Logic, throw it in Logic, and they sound, I mean, in my opinion, sometimes better than if I went through all the extra stuff, because it's such a direct line from my pedal board, you know, so it just sounds really good recorded in here. And it's like 400 slots when you have an SD card in here. You can switch loops while they're playing. You can also save and switch and save the loop forward to another loop slot and record more stuff on it. That's how I have all these different layers, like go from this with the drums to, you know, and still have this loop. So yeah, I really like the Jamman Solo HD, especially for working with the Enzo X. It definitely allows me to do a lot. So snare type sound, I'll probably work with this a little more and get it, you know, things are always a work in progress. You know, I can do that with my bass. So only thing is, every touch is going to trigger it. So, you know, that's something too. So like you just, I recommend for this type of sound, what I'm finding is just muting with my hand here and playing right over that pickup is really, so. Yeah, hopefully they get does. I haven't used that one. Hopefully they does. Hopefully it has ability for maybe a firmware update. I haven't used that particular looper. The H9 Max. Yeah, yeah. That the H9 and the H90 are great sounding effects. Even Time makes some great stuff. They just they price it, boy. You know, people was people acting like the Enzo X is expensive. If you're going up to an H90, you know, Enzo X, you could pretty much have an Enzo X and a Mercury X for another $300. You can have both of these. And you're gonna, I mean, to be honest, you're gonna be able to do way more than you would with an H90. So, but the H9 Max, you probably can grab those used too now, I would suspect. But kick sounds, you know. And you can even, if I wanted a longer kick, is that the filter one? Yeah, that's the filter. Let me go over to, if I try and get a little bit of that kick sound in there. I mean that beater sound. So like the hard part about getting, you know, getting to these sounds with the Enzo X, like as you see, I just made even that small adjustment there. It's like little stuff like this, you kind of, it's very small adjustments at a time. You don't want to just be making huge adjustments. And you notice I only save when I'm really confident I'm at a point that I want to save. Like, and that's, you know, that's the other part of it. You got to be willing to sit there and listen to yourself. So, you know, for you to get it, let me see, what's that decay time on? I actually don't mind that. And you just got to kind of tune it, you know, with whatever you got going on. Yeah, 900 is a lot, you know. I mean, it's a lot. Like, you see how much the Enzo X can do, and you see how much the Mercury X can do. I mean, come on now, $600. Because even when I saw the 600 price tag on the Enzo X, until I got it in my hands, I didn't understand why it was $600. You know, I'm like, why does this thing cost so much? You know, and a lot of times I wasn't really hearing the sounds I really wanted to hear out of it. But when you get one in your hands, like I said, it's a different story. Trying to debate if I want to keep that or not. But yeah, the real key to this is really going to be your imagination, being able to hear sounds before. So like even this harp sound, I wanted to create like a rock harp type sound. So, and here's a little bit of the art type sounds. So even the ARP sounds is insane, you know, and it works, of course, just same on bass. I don't know what was different. That ARP get you caught up, yo. Like I never really think about an arpeggiator sound until I hear it. And then I'm like, yeah, them jumps are cool. Yeah, see, I can just, it's just so, the quality of the sounds, the quality of the oscillators as well is why that's possible, and the filters. Oh my, it's like I've heard these sounds, I've heard them, and I don't care. Because every time I hear them, they're there. Definitely me, not the pedal. Yeah, the original Enzo isn't going to have all these features. I will say that. The original Enzo is only monophonic, and you're not going to get all these polyphonic sounds and stuff. You know, I would just, to be honest, if you could wait a little bit on it, I would just wait, you know, and just get towards the Enzo X a little bit more. Maybe even try to find one on reverb.com or something. See if you can find one used on there. Because a lot of people simply don't know how to use them, and they give up on it relatively easy. Just gracious. One note. That's how you know a good sound. One note. Good gracious. It's so beautiful. that's also a combination of the Mercury X in there. So here's the sound by itself. This is with the expression foot switch held. Without it, if you wanted to use it for, you know, nice square pad. But when you add that with the pitch shifting and the reverb and delay and everything that's in here all combined, it just gets sickening. Oh my goodness. It's just the sound of it. It's something about the sound of it. I've never had something be so sonically immersed. Like it's around you. You're gonna need headphones for this note right here. This one. I believe I got a freeze on this one too. Yep. It's just it is. They complement each other so well. Like, that's why I said the Enzo X by itself can get you pretty much where you want to go with the sounds, but the Mercury X is just going to explode your whole rig, because I also use this as one of my always on pedals for the compressor link on there. So you also get a studio grade compressor and limiter. You get a freeze pedal, a diffusion pedal, and a attack pedal in there as well in the Mercury X. And you know, those are additional features that definitely help me out as a bassist. You know, I can easily come, bam, I hit that, now I'm back in bass territory. And that's mostly this compressor link here, along with the preamp I'm using on there, and I'm using one of the preamps and the high pass filter. You know, let's get these up. Right? Kick that joint on. Not to mention the Enzo X also has a compressor, bit crusher, and ring modulator in it that are amazing. Yeah, the freeze pedal is also huge for not just, you know, studying music, allowing you to play over chords and things like that. It's essential for you to get to certain, like when you're playing your actual bass, it's essential for getting to certain sounds. So say I wanted to, let's get a whole function. Let me see which one has it on it. Guess I have it. When I'm playing my bass, I can then solo over this stuff really easily. Also, the freeze does not disengage the reverb, delay, and all that stuff either. So for a lot of my stuff, in this case, I'm actually, the filter is coming, that filter on my bass. It's coming from the Mercury X, and it also has the reverb, the freeze, a little bit of drive on there, you can hear. A little bit of drive on there. Also, it's got to be some modulation on it or something. Let's see. Yep, as well as the hazy modulation. The hazy modulation in here has a bit crusher and like a tape emulation all in one. So it's got, like, you can have control the age of the tape, you can control the warble of the tape, and you can also control the you can decimate it by pretty much using it's like a bit crusher button in there, but it's called disseminate. And you can place that whatever, and it's got this modulation. It just gives you the saturation, so it's none of the delay or nothing like that, just the saturation from the tape. And you also have the low, you get an EQ in here, lows and highs, and a mix function, all for that one modulation. And you're hearing that on the delay sound, along with the filter, the drive. And the pitch shifter. And that's literally just the Mercury X. That whole sound, this whole sound is Mercury X. Well, I got the Empress compressor and the Tone X1s on, but the Tone X1 is running the color box into a Jens Benz Shuttle 9 tube, bass head, and then all the actual effects type stuff is coming from the Mercury X, including the freeze, and it's being controlled wirelessly through the MIDI captain. But yeah, so if you, yeah, I have a deep freeze over there, you know. Of course, this is turned into like an electro-harmonics board again. You know, I love those electro-harmonics pedals right there. Those are the ones that, you know, other pedals can't really do that. You know what I'm saying? So I love the way the deep freeze, the glissando mode on there is always, the auto glissando mode too is like really, really helpful, and gets you to some really nice string sounds when you combine it with the Mel 9, some nice keyboard sounds when you combine it with the Key 9. Of course, with the vocoder is going, which is that V256 over there, is going to allow you to get a lot of stuff done too. So analog, this is one of my favorite analog filters here, and of course the Ravis sitar, you know, nothing really does what that does either. So I do like unique pedals, if you can tell. I don't like to get the same effect over and over again. Like, I don't really need that. I don't need another chorus. I don't need another flanger or phaser. It's like once you've had enough of them, and those of you that may have been following me know, I've done a ton of pedalboard evolution over the last year or two. But this is my actual gigging board. This is all I need to do anything for real, like, and more. I still have my keys sounds in here as well, but I even got between these two, like I said, they replaced a ton of pedals, even things like the bass balls. Clip in here. So even the overdrive there is coming from the Mercury X. But we also got this beautiful ring modulator here from the Enzo X. So we got an envelope ring modulator. It's insane. That's insane. And I absolutely love it. And it's just super musical. A lot of ring modulators is just noise. For me, I don't like just no big metallic noise. I like it to be very musical, and I find this one is extremely musical, especially when you tie it to various modifiers that are in there, like the LFO, the SNH, the envelope, and the whole modifier in this case, and the envelope, and the sequencer. So definitely comes in handy. You got things. Envelope filter I made with the Enzo X because the filters are so good. Y'all don't even need to buy no more filter pedals because this handles that, including the sounds I would get from the blurs, between the two of these, the bass balls as well. This has a twin filter in it as well. I believe I got a nice twin filter sound out of this. I don't know why my basses feel so hot today. I think I got it turned up a bit too much. And that's with the twin filter in the Enzo X. So, I didn't even have to go buy. I have a EHX bass balls, but it's like that's another pedal I gotta have. Then if I want an LFO filter, I gotta have the EHX blurs. Then if I want, an envelope filter, I gotta go and get the MXR bass filter, and it's like that's 3 different pedals, that I would have to have things that I could have, at a high quality. These are just as good as those pedals. And that's just my opinion, though. Yep. And it can get that, don't get me wrong, that ring modulator can get really grimy, you know what I'm saying, if you needed to. If you really want like a super hardcore ring modulator sound, it could definitely do that for you. Oh man, you know, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's taking years to get all these pedals. I ain't buying them all at once, so don't feel bad. You know what I'm saying? Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already also. So, you know, I find that the Enzo X and the Mercury X pretty much have, those are the main two pedals that are the reason I haven't bought any more pedals. Like they literally take up all that type of thing. Now the MXR bass synth, I like this because this is more like a lo-fi synth compared to, you know, let's see, get some bass sounds going. Let's put some volume on them. Oh, I can do it from here. And of course, these are same sounds. And it's velocity sensitive. Just foolishness. Same sound. It's immediately available. So the bass synths, So same exact sounds, you just got them there. And, you know, very similar to, you know, you can get amazing sound bass synths with this, as well as with the Future Impact. And to me, they're literally on the same level once you learn how to actually use the Enzo X. The main difference I found is that the Future Impact does have that built-in EQ, and I can typically get the sounds heavier out the box with the EQ, you know what I'm saying? So I actually use different EQ curves for each one because these already have EQ on them, and these still, you know, same as any other synth, you know, as any other, you know, that type of synth would be. But let's see. You know, versus just these volume and EQ. Bring that down a little more. Get that little bump. A little more. See, just that little bit, it bump on you. So, you know, both of them will create nice, you know, bottom heavy bass synth stuff for you, for sure. It's no need. I would even say sometimes the Enzo X might cut even more than the Future Impact would, like in a different way, in a warmer way. It, you know, just as warm of a sound, but it'll still cut through a little bit more. I don't know if that's just because this is meant to be its own thing, and this is like emulating the vintage analog synths. So this definitely has a nice warm sound to it, you know, and not as much like top end. I mean, you can get some really bright sounds with this, but I think for me, it feels like when I create similar synths on the Enzo X, I'm trying to get more bottom out of it, while the Future Impact, you know, a lot of times in that situation, I'm trying to get the clarity and the bottom. You know, it's just it's a difference, like it, you know. But this does have that built-in EQ, which allows you to get some stuff done. So both of them great sounds. Versus now, if I come over here and I shape this a little bit, this would be a little bit less bottom heavy. the Future Impact. Let's see, did I put it in auto mode? Nope. It does have an auto. So with the update, some new things that are with the Future Impact, other than the DX7, Yamaha DX7 FM sounds. You also get, they upgraded the tracking. You know, they updated the tracking rather, and now there's even a 0 latency mode. And I gotta finish going through all this stuff and trying out all these new features. They also, what else they add? Oh, they did add the ability to switch automatically between your bass input and MIDI. So let me see if I have that feature on. I can try that right now, because that's something that I would like for sure. Let's do this. Along with they also changed the global menu quite a bit, so you're definitely going to need to take a peek at the manual. Let's see how this works out. See if it adds any. See, I like to do this. Try to get it right under. Matter of fact, yeah, that's a little more. This is the big bass sounds, man. And I also created a separate preamp for my synths and stuff, so I love how big. Yeah, it's massive sound. Let's see if it switches. Yeah, it switches automatically now. Thank you. I'm so glad they added that, because that was annoying. Having to switch every time I wanted to switch back and forth. Like, what if I'm in the middle of a show? How the heck am I going to do that? Now, I will say the original Future Impact V4 VA engine, synth engine, is not available at the same time as the FM engine. So you have to pick which engine you want to work with. Matter of fact, and the way you do that is you hold down the global switch. I know this ain't necessarily about the Future Impact, but we right here. We talked about the Enzo X a lot. You know what I'm saying? So y'all always know I always throw in some little extra stuff for y'all. Extra tips and tricks. So we got to go to Instrument, INS in the global menu. Excuse me. Where you access that is hold down the on button until you see GLB. Then you hit the program button to enter the global menu. Turn this parameter all the way to note off level, right? Then, and that allows you to select the parameter that you would like, the global parameter you want to change. Then in order to change it, you need to turn it to note on level. I didn't realize how much this is. I just have it memorized. And then I can change it to, so BSF is the FM, and BSA is the original Future Impact, which you already been listening to. So let me go back. The Enzo X can use all the modules at once. Like, you can use everything in the Enzo X at once, and the Mercury X. You don't have to use one or two, like choose between delay and pitch shifting, or delay and modulation. You don't have to have, that's all on every patch, every preset. So you get on every preset, you get your mode, so you can do mono synth, poly synth, ARP synth, poly dry, which is like a polyphonic octaver. And it also has mono dry, which is the monophonic octaver, which is, you know, like if you want to do faster lines, use mono. If you want to use chords, of course, use poly. And you still get all these other parameters. You can, when you're in the synth, you get 2 oscillators. You can create FM sounds with this as well with the X mod here. You can also, you got oscillator whiffs, so you can get pulse whiff modulation, as well as you can you get pulse waves from square waves. You know, thin it out basically. Then you get your mod speed, so you don't need to have a separate vibrato. You create your vibrato with the oscillator, with the mod speed, the mod depth, and mod ramp there. You can use, you got filter, you know, you choose your filter type. Choose your ADSR times for your attack, decay, sustain, and release, or you can use envelope, which gives you a much simpler, you know, if you don't know how to use an ADSR. Then you got your amp envelope, which is further shaping the oscillator section, or the octaver section, or the ARP section, you know. You got your drive section right after that. Then you got your clock here, you know, so if you wanted to sync all your pedals to the Enzo X synths, you can do that as well for like arpeggiator. If you want to sync that to a drum machine, you can do that as well. So MIDI clock in it, out. You got your ambience, which is the echo, full stereo delay, and you have 3 of the Prism algorithms, which is my favorite reverb in there as well. And this is all in Enzo X. Then you get your modulation section with the best chorus, the best flanger, the best phaser, the best vibrato. And, you know, you also have the best, in my opinion, my favorite ring modulator. And you can mix that with your dry signal. You get full stereo in and out, and your dry signal is your dry signal. It's not colored in any way. When you run it in stereo, it's in buffer bypass, but if it also has true bypass if you run it in mono. So then you got all your modifiers and expression stuff. So you literally have all of your effects in here. The chorus is crispy. Let me take this out of here. Crispy chorus, perfect for bass. And because you're not using the filters for anything on this is just chorus. If I wanted to, I can come get the filter section involved and cut out, like, so I can have my dry signal have keep the lows, and then have the wet signal be high pass with the filters as well. So even when I'm using it as individual effects, you still got stuff available to you. Flanger, beautiful flanger, and it can get nasty, can get to like voice notch type stuff. So if I take that same flanger, you can do this with any flanger. You can create a notch filter by simply turning the speed off. So if I wanted to, I can now assign this to envelope. That's actually a way to make your synths a little fatter on here. I wonder, that's an idea. I want to try it now. I might use that to make my synths a little fatter. Let me see. Oh, I made this trombone bass synth on here. I mean, this trumpet bass synth. See what we got going. Let me get this straightened out here. Change it to the right channel. There we go. Give me 1 second, guys. Let me check something. So we're back. Bam. So yeah, but you can. So a sound like that don't really need too much more to it. Yeah, I did it earlier, the sax sound. But that's the trumpet and bass sound I created with the Enzo X, which is crazy. You could do that's insane that I was able to do that on there. Like, and there's another one. This one's a little louder. So this one's just more trumpet forward than the other one. And let's see. Change that EQ. Trumpet. Flute. harmonica. So it's not about necessarily getting the exact sound. It's about, that's why I tell you guys, I don't even get stuff trying to duplicate other stuff necessarily. I'm using it for what it is, and trying to use it to its full potential as much as possible. A lot of times we're not using pedals to their full potential. We don't, that's why we get these expensive multi-effects units, and then you use the same 3 patches. You only using a few amps anyway, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then they just give you a bunch of effects that you're not using a lot of times, versus having a straightforward rig like this where I know I can create whatever chorus, flanger, phaser, all that stuff that I need. I can just create it when necessary. Any delays and reverbs I need, I can just create it. And I have the ability to another set of modulations in here, including the hazy modulation, which is one of my absolute favorites in there. So, but I did want to show you guys a little bit of the new sounds on the Future Impact. So again, just hold down here. That was a great transition sound. First of all, the Mercury X should be all over any film score and all over. It's going to be, because I'm already working on something with it. But you're going to hear this joint in movies and everything. And you're going to know exactly, you'll know my stuff when you hear it, because it's going to sound like it does here. But more polished and organized, of course. But, yeah, that's crazy. So you come, again, hold down the on-off button until you get to the GLB display. Then press program, have it on note off level, and it'll tell you which global setting you're altering. And then just turn it on note on level, and then you can change the actual. So right now, if we change this to B, S, F, it'll go to the FM sounds. And the FM sounds are only none of these are my sounds, by the way, so don't kill me for how they sound. I haven't even gone through them yet, so I'm hearing them with you guys actually. Yeah, that's the thing, you know. Definitely, if you put in some time, you know, it saves you a lot of money, to be honest. But I will say this, you know, I'm not against investing in some quality gear. You know how I am. I don't necessarily worry about. I worry about price, of course, but I'm more so worried about functionality. Like if this pedal saves me. If this pedal replaces $2,000 worth of pedals and it costs me $600, that's a deal. Same thing with the Mercury X. They literally have, each of those pedals has literally taken off. I mean, I've taken off probably about 15 pedals between the two of those. Just these 2 pedals. Those pedals are sold and gone. So. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. That's a very high compliment. Appreciate that, Brandon. Means a lot. Y'all have no idea, you know, how much I appreciate you guys rocking with me, hanging out with me, spending time with me. You guys are awesome. And don't forget to check out these preset packs for the Enzo X. Like I said, all these sounds are going to be in the new Enzo X pack update. And, you know, got all these presets for the Mercury X are already in the Mercury X pack. Future Impact has a pack for the regular side of it, but not the FM side yet. 20-some preset packs for the Tone X1s. All this on the Patreon as well. And we got the C4 synth pack as well. What else? Oh, the Zoom pedals, the MS60B Plus. You got a preset pack for that. MS70CDR Plus and Zoom B6. Check out all those different preset packs over on patreon.com, as well as if you want to support the channel for $1, $5 a month. Definitely appreciate you guys. So, all right, where were we? Oh, going through the future impacts. I don't know why they keep designing these sounds like this. Like, this is a bass pedal, right? But I'm not. We all know these pedals track better up here, but they, for some reason, I think, and this was where I need the bass community to help out with the manufacturers and stuff. They're trying to please you guys with stuff like this, right? Because a lot of players, they just cannot be bothered to play above a certain part of the neck for some strange reason. These pedals track so much better up there. For bass synths and anything for a bass synth pedal, you know, they need to be making the presets for the low B and up. I mean, the low B, the B on the E string, you know what I'm saying, and up. That's where all of them track better. I don't even know why they keep trying to, yes, all of them can track down to the low B, but when playing down here, the tracking gets really slow. It's not, it's just the note takes longer. The waveform is longer, so it takes longer for that note to be recognized because it is a bass note. So like the faster the frequency, the quicker it can catch on to the note pitch detection of it. So that's the real key. They also added the zero latency mode to here. So now you got zero latency, speed, latency, and accuracy, you know, modes. Hate this. I think my flute more realistic than that, but I do like that joint a little bit. I'm gonna have to get it to track right. I don't know why. It's like the tracking's all crazy now on these settings. It's weird. And that's not a bad sound, but it's definitely needs to be like EQ. See if they have the EQ on that. No, they added delay. Why not EQ it? Whatever. Oh, come on, folks. Yeah. Yeah, don't let them. First of all, you tell them you are playing guitar. You're playing a bass guitar. Just because you're exploiting the full potential of your instrument does not mean you're not playing the instrument anymore. You're just playing a bass guitar. Just tell them you are. I tell people that all the time. People, it's never nobody that can outplay me. So I don't really care what they say about it. You know what they think a bass player should be doing. First of all, I got a lot of tips and stuff I should be telling you, not you bothering me. So folks they're all, it's never nobody that's really an amazing player telling you that. There's always somebody who's hating. Why you can't just be restricted to what you do? I know on every gig and on every stage you have to only play bass lines, but why don't you get on here and do that too? I mean, we've never seen a bass player play a bass line before. Like, shut up. Like, you've seen that 1,000 times, and of course we all can get on here and play a bass line. Who cares? You know, they be trying to make us play second fiddle all the time, be in the back. You know what I'm saying? That's all people, they be trying. This is where people try to put you in a box. But like I said, people will put you in a box and put you in a corner and leave you in that box right there. They ain't never going to open it up. They ain't never going to open it up for you. So don't let them put you in the box in the first place. Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, I believe you can play, brother. You know, that's the thing. Like, everybody's got their own journey. You know, I ain't start yesterday. I've been doing it a long time. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, don't ever let people limit you because, you know, people could have told Stanley Jordan that he's playing a guitar like a piano. Why don't you just play piano? He does. It's like if that's not the point. The point is to be able to take, the point is of creativity is to take the tools that you have available to you at the moment and make them work for different purposes, whatever your need at the moment might be. That's why I've learned how to play, you know, separate parts, you know, pretty much 3 different parts at a time, the bass line, the chords, and the melody all at once, tapping how Stanley Jordan does, because not just because I don't need piano, I play piano. If I wanted to really dig and learn, you know, and really boost my piano skills, I could. But I love playing bass. And I thought it would be cool for us bassists to have the same flexibility and, you know, independence that a pianist has. Like, imagine, you know, if a bassist has that, then yes, you can do similar things to what piano can do. Of course, there's limitations because their instrument is set up differently than ours. But you can do a lot of stuff that pianists and guitarists do. You can pretty much do the majority of what the horns can do. You know, you can do any of the lines that they do, any of the musical lines that they're playing, you can, or parts they're playing, you can play them too. So, you know, hey, you should be learning. You know, I mean, I don't do transcriptions personally, but the 1 or 2 transcriptions I've done, one of them was Charlie Parker. So, you know, definitely I look at other instruments for a lot of inspiration. You know, a lot of times for the exact reason we're talking about. A lot of times when we see bass players, they're only playing bass. But a lot of these bass players can solo. A lot of these bass players can be stars too. Like, you know, so don't let these people tell you can't be a star because you playing bass. They hating. And don't let them make you stick to the root either. Like, if we ain't playing something that needs me to stick to the root and not have, you know, no flexibility to do nothing, then mind your business. Play your instrument. Unless you signing my check. Then whatever you need. But Yeah, listening takes you really far. But so now I gotta learn how to create FM synths. Oh, let me go back because I think these are supposed to be replicas of sounds from different songs, I guess. See if we can get it without the glitches. If you play simpler parts, it seems to be tracking well, but in this FM side, but the other side still works amazing, but this FM side is a little shaky. See, all I did was it's not tracking those octaves. It's not tracking the octaves very well at all today with this FM side. And I suppose they probably do an update. That wasn't too bad. I mean, I'm just not very impressed with these sounds. I hate when they do this, like. So, you know, it's not just them. I really don't like too many folks presets like that. And you know, Meris their presets was crazy. But most companies presets, they come with effects I don't even bother with, to be honest. And multi effects or individual, I just don't bother with them. Even in stuff like the Rabbit sitar, I'll go through the presets to kind of see what sounds are possible, but I already know like all these FM sounds are going to be replaced because they're just not sounds I'm going to be able to use on a gig. Like, that's not too bad. Finally got one to track. Definitely should. It's a little slower. A little slower than the other side. That joint be growing on me, that little flute sound. this is. It's like, it's a little, I could even see them two together, maybe. I'm not gonna track together. We're gonna have to have a flute off. Yeah, that H9 and the H90 definitely have some great sounds in them. I remember I was in when I was at Berkeley, one of the students had an Eventide, had that H9, and like he made this synth, this octave synth that was insane. Like he was a guitar player, but it was an octave down synth that was just like nasty. And I never asked, at the time I wasn't really into effects like I am now, so I didn't really even know what to ask. That's probably one of those times that helped inspired me to get into effects. Yeah. It can work. It can work. I like that flute sound a little bit. You might have to work on this note on and off level here. Oh, it's not even set. That would be why. The note on and off level ain't set. I'm like, why is it tracking horribly like this? Like, what is this going on? It's tracking horribly. Let's go with it around there. There we go. So that's another little tip you got to watch out for when you do the update to the Future Impact V4 VIP. You need to, and you go over to the FM side, you need to check your note on and off level and make sure it's just not at 0, because mine was just at 0. And because if it's at 0, it's going to track horribly. I'm trying to think what else. Let me check that for the... Oh, it's probably like that for the other side too. This the other little thing, cool thing. Bam. If you want to switch back, you just come here. You know what I'm saying? Switch back. Are these set? Nope. See, these ain't set either. It reset my thing. I mean, I know it reset some stuff. It had to do a complete thing, but I ain't even think. You got to redo your note on and off levels once you do that update, guys, for your Future Impact. Woo! I need to make a preset for this. Make sure y'all grab that Future Impact pack, man. That's a saucy thing right there. Hey. So let me see if I switch back and forth. Do I need to redo it? Or is it going to remain? Yes, it remains. That is good. So you do have a separate note on and off, note off level for the FM side of the Future Impact and the VA side. So the VA side is the original, you know, when you first got your Future Impact. And the DX7 FM side is the BSF in the global menu, and you need to, you know, two different things. So let me see what we got here. Cool. We in there. In there. So let's try some more of these FM sounds. See if I can get some of these previous joints to track a little better. Let's go back. See if I add some bottom to these. Okay. Effect, let's do. Need some body to it. Come on. That's mad late. I guess. The flutes in. It's actually getting really close to a piano like sound. These ways. And these I just use the presets like again to see what the unit is capable of. Don't get me wrong, I'm not into these preset sounds, but I can hear where I'll be able to take them, what I'll be able to do with them. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm ultimately listening for right now. Is it going to track as well as it did in the other mode? Things like that. You know, don't get me wrong, grab you a Future Impact. You definitely going to need one. And as you can see, they future-proofing them. You know, they had enough room to add an entire engine, a whole nother engine to it. And another 100 presets. It's like it's a really gimmicky sounds. Like I want some real bass sounds. It's almost like they was expecting. Is it like, do they want you to? I just don't understand. There we go. Yeah. I'm not about to sit and go through all these joints, y'all. There we go. Let me see if I bring that cutoff down some. Yeah, bring it back up. Trying to find usable sounds. Definitely should beef these up a bit. So yeah, you get the sense of where they going with it. And you can actually achieve FM sounds with the Enzo X as well. You know, I don't want to run none of my settings. See, gotta have something. Just ridiculous. Yeah, this guy just a touch of. Just a touch of it there. It's another way I got that. Sorry about that. Another road sound I made. So in those, a little bit of the FM is coming into play. That's why it has a little bit of that metallic sound. So a little bit of that metallic sound is coming from the FM, the X mod on the X mod parameter. Just all types of bass sounds from this joint. Enzo X actually just tracks. Like it thing track. And it's like this and the MXR bass synth, I actually like how both of those MXR bass synth doesn't have the, you know, sounds to compete with the Future Impact and Enzo X, but and I like this. It just sounds like a different type of synth to me. Like it sounds like a lo-fi type of synth on purpose. So, you know, definitely, you know, don't sleep on the MXR bass synth either. But if you're talking about, you know, don't ask me about it compared to the Future Impact and the Enzo X, because they are two totally different beasts than each other and the MXR bass synth. I do like how I can get to some nice little lo-fi synths real easy. And I still have, you know, complete options here to control, you know, add different filters or different drives and everything here. Say I just wanted to use these oscillators, I can run them through different things as well. So get to some nice juicy sound. But they got some like nice, more natural type tracking. You switch this back over because definitely want to be on the VA side. Definitely. See, even like this is one of my synths. See how much body that has compared to the other sounds? They got some body on it. To the point where you can then take some out. Add some clarity in the top end if you want it. So, and the purpose of that is just to make sure that as soon as you turn on the bass synth, it feels like a real bass synth. And if anything, you can dial out a little bit of the body, a little bit of the booty in there, and then get it right where you want it. But I'd rather you have a nice full bass sound. Some people don't have extra compression pedals and EQ pedals. So, you know, that I set up the Future Impact sound so they would immediately, just with nothing on them, be just bam, just sit right in your chest. You know what I'm saying? Because we play bass. It's killer sounds. So let's take something like this, take it up off that LFO. Put it back with the filter envelope amount and a little bit of envelope. Bring that down. A little too far. So that's where I want it to sit. What did I just change? Oh, that's that tap. Right? And some envelope to that. Don't need that much modulation in the filter. Bring on some of that resonance. Bring this output back down. Bring it down some more. Make sure we ain't got too much glide in there. Get that a little bit more on the filter envelope modulation. Give it a little bit of resonance. So yeah, you can get some nice like lo-fi synths that I like with the actual MXR bass synth. And you can add a little noise to that if you wanted to. Right? That sub. Don't really need that chorus. So there's a lot of different ways you can get really nice bass synths out these pedals. You just have to know how to use them. So there, that was a lot of sub. And the sub. It's good you got that noise in there. because I'm using a negative filter envelope amount on the, and this works for all these pedals. Well, and Enzo X and the MXR bass synth had that feature in common. The filter envelopes can be positive or negative, meaning when it's positive, the filter cutoff is it modulates above the filter cutoff, right? So essentially, the more filter envelope amount positive side that you use, the higher it goes above the where you have the frequency cutoff of the filter. And the opposite is for the negative. It basically, the frequency cutoff is the highest part of the filter now, and then the filter will sweep below that based on how far in the negative you go on the filter envelope amount. So you can have drop down, right? That's the negative, and the positive would be trying to if I take the envelope out, this is the filter cutoff. So now you hear it opening above it and closing. That's the attack and decay of the envelope. And when it's negative, you can hear it dip, but I'll bring it up so you can hear it a little more. But again, this is now the frequency cutoff. I set it there, so. But you don't really need that much noise, if any. And for me, my favorite in terms of the bass frequencies is just going to be the triangle. Triangle has a nice big fat bottom to it. A lot of classic synths though are the square and saw wave together, and then you also have a lot of them that are just like straight up saw waves, two saw waves together. So this is the triangle. Open that joint up. Let's see. That's sub on that. I'm gonna go ahead and just say that right there. You feel me? You don't need to fix and fiddle with that. I had something else right there, but I ain't never used it. So, and I same thing with this. You know, I ain't rock with the presets. I don't, and that's not no offense to MXR or whoever, or Panda Audio, or I mean anybody. I just don't use their presets. The only presets I've ever ended up really keeping is Meris. These Meris pedals, some of the presets, and even those at this point, I have changed every single one of them. Like even now, like the ones I'm using have all been changed. So nothing personal. That's why I create preset packs, because I know a lot of times it's hard to even really, people don't even know what they're using or how, they just getting into synth. They're just getting into octavers, or they're just getting into amp models. And so, I create these preset packs to make sure that you guys can just understand the real potential of your gear sometimes. And on top of that, save you hours of programming, even if you do. You know what I'm saying? What just happened in my preset? I definitely saved it. Come on, man. That ain't it. That's annoying. Of this. See what I mean by you can legit create some nasty sounds with the MXR bass synth. It's really not to even, ain't even no need to hate on it or sleep on it. Except for just deleting my patch. Spent all this time doing it. Negative. See? That's what I want. Now you better not change it when I go to save it. How? Like, where is he saving it? That's irritating. Let me go and make it without it. Without the expression pedal attached, apparently. That joint just got dirty. Yeah, the polyphonic octaver on the Zoom pedals is okay. It's not amazing, but it is okay. You know, you can definitely get away with a lot of stuff on there. And I would prefer that one to using like for octave bass down, octave down and octave up versus the Boss, the OC2 emulation in there. I don't really like too much. So now I'm gonna try to save it again. Change it. Cause I like the way I had it before. So yeah, like you can get some nice bass sounds like that out of the MXR bass synth where it's just, you don't have to, I'm hearing a lot of extreme settings with folks, and you saw when I was making that, I didn't make huge adjustments, just little small tiny stuff, you know. So if I go back to the save version of that, bam. nice round bass synth, you know, similar to I believe it's probably a little different. So yeah, you got, let me see. So yeah, it is a great bass synth. Like, and you see, I get caught up real easy doing bass synths and stuff, but they're really interesting how the oscillators, like they all have triangle, saw, and square waves, right? It's just interesting to me to see the things I can do with that. For instance, we'll stay on the MXR bass synth just so you can see. You could take something like a triangle wave. Say you want to turn a triangle wave into a sine wave, right? Disengage this envelope. So that's, say we just want that bottom part. We just bring the filter down. Bring that up. Stupid bass on that jank. What? That's a lot of bottom. And you can also, from there, you can choose if you're going to bring in some of the unison pitch. Might do this right here. What I got right here? Bring this volume down. Okay. That's way too loud. Sheesh. Loud. You gotta mess with them output gain on these joints. Sure, whatever. Say that there, it's a little less loud. It's my octaver setting. It's a lot of bottom on that thing, ain't it? Here's a good place. So again, we'll go triangle wave, turn the envelope off, no modulation, make sure the LFO is off, no resonance, straight sub. that's what you. So you left with all this bottom here, right? Bring that filter envelope down, cut off. Right? Bring that frequency cutoff down to just the. You definitely need headphones for this. Yeah. That joint literally all sub right there. So, you know, you can add in some of the unison frequency. Meaning this right here. Oh, let me bring that glide down. Oh yeah, I forgot I got mine on 4-string mode. Also, turn it on 4-string tracking is faster. Turn this glide off. See? Now we got that sub. And let's see if we got. So we're just going to take the upper voice and the sub there. We're also going to bring this volume down. So from here, we're going to want a positive filter envelope amount. So we're going to add some of that. So we're gonna let that filter open up just a little bit more. capable. You just gotta really know what you're doing. Just the same as any other synth pedal. A lot of times I'm hearing like super extreme settings with folks, and I'm like, yo, you change it too much too fast now. You gotta just tap it. Just tap it. Just watch this. I'll just bring that up a little bit. Difference between that and that and that is a very little amount. Like noon, like 1, about 11. Completely different sounds, just that fast. Versus, you know, if you're doing this, you're never going to get to it. Like, you're moving it too fast, and you're probably missing your sweet spot that you want to get to, whatever that may be. You know, that's pretty much the method I go with in general. You want to start with your oscillators, you know, mix those how you want, you know, based on how much, for me, how much bottom I want. Like, you see all these, that has a nice big bottom to it. And if I actually take away some resonance, it even gets even bigger. Whole different sound. If you crank that resonance, but and then you just play with the mix from there. Say I wanted to use some more of that unison voice in the middle instead of just the upper voice. So that's the mix between the upper voice and the unison voice. And then I come down to the sub mix. So that's how you get nice, big, heavier sounds out of the MXR bass synth. You know, it really does. That mix of the oscillators is a huge part of that, as well as, you know, how much resonance or not that you have. And, you know, in this case, I mean, like I said, take times like this, sometimes I might even use the resonance to bring out more, emphasize more of that. The area of the frequency I want. Like, I want more bottom. less resonance. Right? So yeah, you just it's a nice little pedal. You know, it's not going to get you everything that the Enzo X and the Future Impact will, but it can definitely get you to some nice sounds that are, you know, well, I never said cheap sounding. I said lo-fi. So there's a difference. There is a difference. Like, it doesn't sound cheap. The filter sounds really great quality, you know, and as well as the oscillators are decent as well in there. The tracking is great. As with all these pedals, like all these pedals you see on this pedal board track amazingly, you know, and they all also have their own little things. You know, only one that I've never run across any tracking issues with is the Pog 3. That thing tracks like to the T, but Electro-Harmonix is known for their tracking, even with all these pedals and stuff, the vocoder and all this stuff. So they've been doing it a long time, you know. So that definitely counts. But yeah, so again, anything you see up here, this is the main board. This is like my auxiliary studio board over there. But anything you see up here is definitely worth checking out in some way, shape, or form. So don't be shy, you know, go ahead, check that stuff out. And make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, hit the hype button, check out the patreon.com/allbasscreations for all my presets for the Future Impact, Enzo X, Mercury X, the Tone X ones, and Tone X pedals. I got 20 different preamp packs for that. And the C4 synth, the MS60B Plus, MS70 CDR Plus, and Zoom B6. All the preset packs are available on Patreon. So make sure you go there, check out those, and support the channel. Then you can also check out my music at allbasscreations.bandcamp. You'll find it all there. And of course, I do a lot of music with bass and effects and things like that. So check that stuff out. And then if you want to follow me on all social media at the Bass Nagus, I would greatly appreciate it. If you want to Cash App, Super Chat, greatly appreciate it. As well as shout out to Adam for subbing as well. Appreciate you subscribing, coming on board, joining the usual suspects. But thank you guys. This is all I'm going to do for now, and I definitely will catch you later. We actually got 3 solid hours